Good morning, everyone. I'm going to repeat my live stream that I did this morning. I made a couple errors on it, so I'm going to try to do my best to represent the theme, which is Are we here to learn how to love? And in that regard, we look at the historical conflict that human beings have experienced since day one on this planet. Today, what we call a modern age, are we any better off, or do we still have massive conflict? Which is obviously we do. So obviously we have not learned how to love each other. We haven't learned how to include all of humanity within our personal experience as something that we can include with love and compassion and recognize everybody as the same consciousness as we are. In other words, we're all equal. So that's the bottom line of that. And we learn this here first by the introduction of the subject matter that we're sharing here, and then to take a look at our experience in relation to that. And as I discovered early on in this process, there wasn't a whole lot of love going on. There was a lot of conflict in myself with certain people and circumstances and whatever. And I realized that how limited I was in terms of unconditional love. So this is something that we've dreamed about, something people speak about, something people strive to accomplish one way or the other. And yet, how do you get there? And the way was pointed out by my teacher, and that was to do what we're doing here, and that was to keep meditating, to meditate, to focus upon our experience and learn from our experience, and to find any blockages to that, you might say, goal, and then to evolve through it by getting rid of the obstructions, the data, the beliefs that we have in us that would keep us from having that experience. And as we did, we began to have genuine compassion and love for people all over the world, no matter what was going on, because we realized they were here doing what we're doing. They're here fulfilling the primary intention in consciousness to fully be itself. But who are we in the role of the ego, in the role of a human being that would have difficulty with this? What are the mechanics here? And the mechanics are simply this. Our ego, which is a part of our journey, we couldn't be here without it, is a construct of consciousness for the purpose of this journey. And this journey is to journey from pretending to be what we are not, which is source consciousness, to journeying towards the truth of who we are, which is source consciousness. And in that, as we begin to open up to that possibility, as we begin to have the experience of that, because we evolve and expand our awareness to the point where that is now something we can actually experience directly in ourselves. And as we do that, our compassion and love for everybody else grows and grows, because we realize that what we're having internally has always been there, and it's in everyone. There's no exceptions to this, because there's nothing else that exists except source consciousness. The source of all manifest reality is what it is, and it loves itself. If it loves itself, how can we possibly sit here pretending like we don't love this person or that person or anything in creation, really? Doesn't mean we can't discriminate. You don't want to eat poison because it's source consciousness. If you're still seeing something as poisonous and you take it with the delusion that somehow because you're beginning to touch upon the truth of who you are, you may not be harmed by it, I would not recommend that. So anyway, it's a journey that's taken many, many, many years and many lifetimes for all of us. And where one person is or the other person is irrelevant, really, because in my experience, all the difficulties and challenges that I met through 30 plus years of living here at the sanctuary and meditating and living a holistic lifestyle were specifically designed and experienced as they should be by myself, which had nothing to do with anybody else here. We are all journeying that journey, but where we are in that journey is irrelevant as long as we are consciously on it. We're doing the best that we can do. And most people in this world, all people in this world, are doing the same thing. They may be just beginning to have a human experience for the first time, and it may be radically difficult for them, or they may be having the journey of creating more and more identification with their ego to the point that they have no awareness whatsoever of the truth of who they are, and no desire to even go there because they're experiencing a form of fulfillment that's satisfactory to them at this time. Nonetheless, as we go through this journey, we will eventually reach a point where the egoic experiences in the human experience are just no longer enough. There's always suffering, there's always difficulty, there's birth, then there's death, there's disease, there's all this stuff that we go through as a human being, and we can't change it. It's just going to happen. So when we've had enough of this limited experience that includes so much suffering, then we're open to and usually experience a spontaneous awakening of some kind that where we do experience what is inside of us, the truth of who we are in some form or another. And in my case, it was a extremely blissful, unexpected, and surprising experience. I had no idea it was coming, and certainly could have never anticipated it, because it was so far beyond anything I ever experienced before. It was life-changing, more life-changing than anything I've ever experienced before, because after that experience happened, I was in a constant state of bliss for quite some time, and I began to notice after a while that experience began to diminish a little bit, and kept on diminishing. And then I instantly became very alert and devoted to the idea of getting that back. I wanted to be that way all the time. I wanted that joyful experience, that loving, open experience to life. I wanted that to be me always. So what are the mechanics of this? The mechanics are simple. I wasn't meditating right away. I did start to meditate soon after that experience, yet I was right at the very beginning of meditating. And the meditation, what is meditation? It's a balancing technique that allows us to grow our awareness, to expand our awareness, to start getting in touch with parts of ourselves that were heretofore hidden because we just couldn't connect. We had no way of tapping into our third eye. We couldn't tap into the subtle dimensions of ourself where that love is unimpeded. And so we're just being human beings, and that's it. The flesh and blood, the physical reality was it, pretty much. And we have beliefs, but we didn't have the experience that would validate that truth to the point that we knew, which is a lot different than believing. You know, there's all kinds of beliefs, but if you don't have the experience to validate the belief, how do you know? But so after my awakening experience, and I knew that I was source consciousness, even though I didn't know that term at the time, whatever I was, it was so blissful and loving and great that I didn't want to lose that again. And so I started to meditate and struggled to get that experience back. You know, it's the same kind of a desire that we have all the time when we find something that we really like, when we find someone that we really like. We want to have that person or that food or whatever it is that we're getting off on. We want that in our lives. We want to be able to have that thing whenever. And this is just what all human beings experience here, huh? So it's the same kind of mechanics that work towards your own evolution to waking up to who you are, because that's what you have to work with. It has to be designed in such a way that it will grab you at some point in your life and shift the direction you're going to, from looking outward and starting to diminish your identification with this ego here, this body, and all the things that go with it, your education, your background, your family, so forth and so on, but not to destroy or to diminish them or it in any way at all. Some people who don't know better start to judge their ego, or they try to get rid of their ego. Won't work, because you need it. You couldn't be here to even think those thoughts if you didn't have your ego. So it's a mechanism that allows both the illusion of the ego as you, and it allows and will eventually lead to the discovery that there's much, much more to you. And in that you will have the experience, the validating experience, that you are source consciousness. And once you touch upon your center, your heart center, which is not your physical heart, but your heart center, where your love just explodes, and once you have that experience, you will want nothing else in your life, because it includes everything. It doesn't say, well, I have to go off and hide in the mountaintops and meditate. Some people take it that way at first because their life shifts so radically, as mine did when I was living in a city and I had all my drinking buddies and everything that I hung out with, and all of a sudden I was going to go meditate and whatnot, and I didn't know quite how to get that across to people, and when I did try, sometimes it didn't go very far because it was so far outside of their experience at that time. But nonetheless, I did what I had to do to journey my own journey, and I traveled around and I meditated and eventually found my way here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary, because I experienced Synchronicity's technology in my meditation practice, and once I did, my experience with that technology told me right away, this is what I want. And because it was so much more reliable and so much deeper and so much better than any of the meditation methods that I was using before, which did not involve technology or soundtracks. So essentially, that's it in a nutshell. We are here to learn how to love, and that's just another way of saying we are here to evolve. We're here to fulfill the primary intention in ourselves as source consciousness, to fully be who we truly are. And so we play the game of being what we're not. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary in my case. And then within that, we come to our illumination of the truth of who we are, and we integrate that, hopefully, and then we're done, at least for now, with this journey. So this is what everybody's doing. It may not look that way, it may not appear that way, and it may not be that way for most people, which it isn't, because they're just caught up in the illusion of their ego and so forth, and trying to make do with that the best they can, which is exactly what they have to do. So that's good. And at any rate, this is it in a nutshell. Really, we are here to learn how to love, which is to learn how to discover who we are, because we are the love that we want. We are the love that we seek. We are love. We're the energy of source consciousness, which always loves itself. So that's what I wanted to share with you for the second time. And hopefully we will be able to save this video successfully, which the other one I couldn't. So I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again here next week. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary, saying until next Monday. Thank you.